All right. And we are live on YouTube. Good morning, everyone. It's been a minute. I apologize. I needed some time to reflect. But we're back at it. Here we are. Welcome to Rise and Shine with Morning Moon. My name is Coach Lacy. I better hit that record button before we get started. We are live on YouTube. All right. So let me hit that record and we will start. Good morning, everyone. My name is Coach Lacy. This is Rise and Shine with Morning Moon. Let's get right to it because I know I'm not the only one who has been feeling the heat lately. We are in a major shift in our world. Man, that spiritual heat, the friendship friction, the who do you think you are energy when you start showing up differently. I'm feeling that. How about you? I don't know about you guys, but as a woman, as a female, I need friends. As women, we need each other, right? Not just that coffee date kind of friendship, not just the, chatting on Facebook friendship. I am talking about those ride or die, pray you through it, truth over comfort friendships. The kind of friends who look at you when you are just puffied up, red-eyed, and not feeling the thing, ugly crying, going through grief, all the stuff, and just say, You're beautiful and I'm not going anywhere. Those friends that when you show up as your authentic self are not triggered, are not judgmental, that don't have something snarky to say, and aren't talking behind your backs. I want to recognize all of my beautiful friends who have been there through the thick of it with me because I have some pretty amazing ladies in my world, I gotta say. And, I realized something this week, actually this morning on my walk when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about on the show, because originally I wanted to talk about the haters, right? There's a lot of focus on the haters and people that um, don't see you for you. And maybe you can relate to this because I sometimes focus on the negative and I need to be more intentional about focusing on what I have instead of what I don't have. We can all do better. And that's what Rise and Shine is all about, is just growing and growing through what we go through. And I have been giving way too much mental real estate to people who are triggered by my growth. And triggered by the person I'm becoming. I am finally growing into myself at 40 years old. I'm finally getting there. And I feel like it's been a really long journey, and I've walked through a lot of seasons of darkness, and now it is time to rise. And since I gave my life to Christ, since I got sober, since I left the new age, and since I started speaking up and speaking the truth instead of just staying silent, um, and of course, let's not forget the cherry on top of my political pivot from liberal to conservative back in like 2012 and 2013, I was super liberal. I am now like libertarian, conservative libertarian. I'm black pilled, especially with everything going on in the world today. Cue that list, right? Whoa, like we won't even go there. If you want to get spicy, you can follow me on TikTok. I give you all my little thoughts there. But once I dive down that rabbit hole, that triggers people. I will tell you what, people think they know what my thought process is. They think they know what my beliefs are. They think they know me, and then they judge me. And I have lost so many people. That alone makes people burn bridges faster than you can even imagine, and they will burn their bridges with you and light theirs on the way out and say, ciao b, I am out of this. I cannot even tell you how many people I trigger with my political beliefs. And now if you add that sobriety and um my walk with Christ on top of that, that has really had people triggered lately. And honestly, it hurts sometimes. Honestly, when I, hear that someone has said something about me, or hear or see that they're whispering about me, or, I see someone's unfriended me or blocked me, that hurts my feelings. And, I'm not one that usually, I always joke that I don't have feelings. I've been dead inside for years. My spirit animal is Cartman. But that's not true. I'm actually a really sensitive girl, and I've always been a sensitive girl. And whenever I lose friendships over misunderstandings or perceptions, it hurts. It hurts my feelings, and I always wonder what I said or did to and trigger them one last time. And my mom always says I have a big mouth and I'm snarky, and sometimes I see her getting triggered by the way that I'm showing up, and I'm fearless. I don't shrink in the face of judgment. Sure, it hurts me, but I'm not going to stop my role because someone doesn't like what I'm doing. It's not who I am. It's I'm always going to be real and raw and straightforward. It's just at the core of my being. It's just who I am. And I encourage everybody to show up with such audaciousness. And sometimes it's to my own detriment. I mean, I have lost more people because I've been so authentic than I can even care to count. I have lost business, I've lost friendships, I've lost family. I have family members who won't even be friends with me on Facebook because they think they know who I am, and they misunderstand who I am, and they're triggered by it constantly, constantly. And I have had a lot of focus on the people who don't like me, and the people who I've lost, and the friendships I have lost, and even, positions I've lost. In 2020, I lost a position, a very beloved position in a naturopathic clinic, as a medical assistant, because of my belief systems, and I was scaring people and all of these things, and it triggered that person who owned the clinic very deeply, my thought process. And looking back on it, I don't regret a thing. I don't regret a thing because I was protecting myself, but I could have gone about things a little bit differently because I am wildly abrasive. And I was thinking about that this morning, and I was going to come on and talk about that. But really, what came through for me when I started listening to what God wanted me to say to you guys today, because this show is not about me. It is for you, the watcher, the listener, the person who is walking through whatever darkness that you have in wanting to rise. My message for you is, don't forget the people that have stuck by you. Don't forget the ones that stayed. Don't forget the people who love you for who you are and celebrate you just as you are. I'm about to cry because, like, I had a realization of my friends that have grown with me, and my husband who has grown with me and rose with me and rose to the occasion. Those people who don't talk smack about you, those people who see you for who you are. I've had the people in my life that are the closest people to me, my family, my own family, my own, friends, people that I love deeply, have said things, have not defended me in rooms that I'm not in. They have not stood up for me, but there are people who know me less than they do who have. And I am here to say, focus on those people. The people who saw my fire and didn't try to put it out. They grabbed a match and they lit their own. I see you. I see you, and I honor you. And God, I am so fired up by that. I am fired up by that. It is so cool to see it happen in real time on social media, even. I see people that follow me who are now on their own journey of sobriety. I see people who were in the new age who are now starting to contemplate and think about their own spirituality. I see people who were left wing that have stuck with me that are now right where I'm at. I can't even believe it. It's so beautiful. So the people that stick with you and honor that fire and light their own, oh, those are the real ones. Those are your ride or dies, man. Those are the people in your life you want to stick around. We focus so much on the negative that it's time to stop obsessing over who's uncomfortable with our glow up. Some of us are over here rising and shining, and others are getting triggered by it. And that's their own internal dialogue. That's their own internal belief systems that they are challenging. And maybe they'll get there too and maybe they are inspired, but they're wrestling with that inspiration. So instead of focusing on the ones who, you know, cut your friendship off and light the bridge and walk away, we got to start celebrating the people that clap when we win. We got to start celebrating the people that are in our corners, the ones that pray for us when we fall. Friends that pray for you are so important. People that pray for you are just are the most um they're rare. They're super rare. They're most rare gems of all time because they actually see you for who you are. I can't tell you how many people online that I don't even know in person that have been better friends to me than my own family. And these people are people who have called me out when I'm acting a fool. These people are people that have prayed for me in hard seasons. These people are people that have stuck with me even when they thought I was being absolutely ridiculous. Like I have one friend and I'm going to call you out, Bev. You are fabulous. If you're watching this, I love you. You have stuck with me through all the seasons of me flaking out, acting a fool, doing my thing, and you just stay and you pray, and I love you for it. And your prayers have paid off because now I'm becoming that woman that I am meant to be. And I can't thank those people enough. Godly friendships matter. The kind of friends that don't flinch when your faith gets bold. Those kind of friends who don't gossip about you behind your back when things start to get loud and uncomfortable. The kind of people that can hold space for you when without holding tons of judgment. Sure, we judge, everybody judges, and we have our own thought processes on how things should be. But those friends who don't hit the block button when they get triggered, those are the real people. Those are the people in your life that you have to hold on to because everybody else, their loyalties are questionable. Their loyalties are not there. They're not even loyal to themselves. So how could they be loyal to you? How could they be loyal to me? And that's something I have to remember. I have some really fabulous, amazing women in my life who have grown through seasons with me, and I am just so here for it. I can't even tell you. Some of my dearest friends and family, they just can't tolerate my changes. They 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 can't handle the fire. And then there's other friends who mirror them. I have other people in my life who mirror those changes. They saw me stepping into like sobriety. I've had friends who have seen me step into my sobriety and decided to clean up their own act. And that inspires me to keep going. And it's so beautiful. And I've had other friends who hear me talking about Jesus that are in the new age that are now starting to ask questions instead of being critical, instead of, throwing the book at me and saying, "Oh, you're just wrong." I love that. I love that. I see some of my friends starting to ask questions, and maybe they might be questions that I don't agree with or come up with conclusions that aren't, exactly what I think is, correct, but they're questioning and they are starting to go on their own journey to self and finding what's right for them. And those friendships are worth investing your time and energy in. That is where we should be putting our energy, not focusing on the haters. And I'm telling myself this because this last week I have had tons of people come at me with some wild stuff and wild accusations and just triggered and creeping on my profile and just watching everything I do. And I was like, what in the world is going on here with these people? Like, they don't even know me. They hardly know me, but they're judging me. And then I have people who know me very well, who've known me my whole life and are judging me and saying things, like, well, you used to do this and you used to do that. And it's like, don't you see the beauty in the struggle? Don't you see the beauty in the transformation and use that as inspiration for you to make a change and show up differently? We are not meant to stay the same. I have a lot of energy today, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit. I just realized I was just blah, 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 and I do that. You might want to slow that down, slow that roll down a little bit, Lacey. But I'm just so fired up with this realization of the women in my life who have been just solid, solid friends. And those people are worth investing my time in. And last night I sent a couple of you, if you're watching, I did send a cute little reel that was like, thank you. And that's what got me thinking about this. And, one of my dear, dear friends, she used to be, she used to be a lesbian. She used to be a drug addict. She used to party with me all the time. I used to be bisexual. I used to, go to Pride. I used to do all these things. We used to do hard drugs together. And together we reconnected at my one of my churches, and we have found a new friendship in God, and her friendship is so sweet. It is like the essence of what friendship should be. Real, growth over a lifetime, growth and evolution over a lifetime, walking shoulder to shoulder together. Because Alpha Femme says, for me, for you, for us, together we rise. That's so true. So, so true. And I see people that, they might not be where they want to be yet, but they're working on it. And not everyone is going to get it. Some people are going to fall off the map, and they might fall off the map for years, but they might come back around. They might see your change and be triggered by it at first and then be inspired. Maybe they're actually inspired, but they don't know how to make that shift. So they start judging instead and talking smack and gossiping and all these things and blocking. And I just recognize that that's their journey, and maybe you're just not meant to be around each other in this season. Some people are only assigned to a chapter of your life, and they don't have any business moving forward with you. And unfortunately, that can mean family too. The last few weeks have been rough for my family, and people don't like it when I talk about these things. People don't like it, like when my brother died. There's a part of my step family that doesn't talk about it. His own twin doesn't talk about it. Won't even mention it. I'm talking about it all the time because I want to honor my brother's memory. I miss my brother. I love my brother. I wonder who he could have been. He would have just turned 25. He killed himself at 18. What a tragedy. And his own twin doesn't even talk about it. And the rest of the family, hush, hush. We're not going to talk about it. They don't want to talk about the problems because they can't take a look at themselves long enough to see what was contributed to it. And that's happening in my core family. My core family's having issues, and they can't take a good hard look at what they're contributing to it. So they're blaming everyone else and hiding from the rest of us and then acting like it's our problem. We've all contributed. We've all contributed. And I'm expected not to talk about it because it will force them to take a look at their own behavior and make a change or not. And people don't often want to make a change because A, it's too scary, B, it's too hard, C, it will take them out of their comfort zone. I'm someone who recognizes that if you're comfortable, you are not growing. You're not changing. Nothing's shifting. If bad things have happened in your life and you haven't changed for the better from it, then you've changed for the worse. A lot of times people use bad events as excuses to fall off the wagon. I could have used any number of things in the last, I've almost hit my 30 days. I'm a few days out from my 30 days of sobriety, complete sobriety. First time since I was uh, 15 years old that I was completely sober, completely. I've always been high on marijuana, drinking, smoking tobacco, whatever. I've always had some sort of crutch. And this is the first time in my adult life and teenage life, in my life, since I was a child that I've been completely sober. And I've had people that judge me for that. And I've had people say things about me in my 20s that if I was this way in my 20s, then how on earth could I be a different person now? Because we are supposed to be. We are supposed to change. That is the entire point of this life. If you are not growing and changing and evolving over a lifetime, you're stuck and you're going to be stuck in the next. And that is the entire point. There's a really fabulous book out there called The Evolution Angel by Michael Todd. I would encourage all of you to read it because it talks about these contracts that we have before we come to Earth. You know, we have that some things are fixed and some things are fluid, but there is a calling on your life and there is a divine design. And if you don't think so, that ego is real big. If you don't think that your calling is bigger than what you're doing in your everyday, just sustaining, you're living in fear, not in faith. And I encourage all of you to start living in faith and drop that fear. Because my superpower, the way that I'm able to show up authentically everywhere is that I don't fear damn near, there's not much that I fear. Sure, I've had moments where I get scared in the moment, but I don't fear because God's got my back. I don't fear what can't hurt me because in the end, if I die, you know that saying, did you die? Well, if I die, I'm going to heaven. I'm going to Jesus. That's where I'm going. I'm gonna go be with Jesus and I'm gonna go be with my family who has passed on. And I, and time's not linear, so I'm gonna be with all of you too. So I really encourage you to just show up authentically and drop that fear because fear is what holding you back. Fear of not having the money, fear of, not having the stuff, fear of not being able to do the thing, fear of failure, whatever that fear that you have is, drop it and focus on the positive and focus on the people that are in your corner and focus on the people who stay even when you're being a total butthead. That is one of the things in addition to not having that fear is the staying power. So, not everybody's going to get it, and you don't need to, mourn the loss of those friendships. Instead, focus on who is still here and the miracle in that, because that's a miracle that people stay and love you, you know. So today, I really want you to ask yourself a few questions. Who are the friends that reflect truth and love back at you? And then who are the friends that trigger you and why are they triggering you? Are they holding you accountable? And do they make you feel ashamed when they're holding you accountable? And what does it look like when you hold someone accountable? Are you holding them accountable in shame? Can you take a look in the mirror and see what kind of friend you are? Because I haven't always been a good friend. I haven't always been a good friend. I'm very, very self-centered, very self-centered. And I always think I have all the answers, but I'm coming to realize I know nothing. I know nothing, Jon Snow. You know nothing, Jon Snow, like on Game of Thrones. And that is when we really step into our leadership, is when we realize that we are just a link in the chain. We're following and someone is following behind us, and we have to lead by example, and take a look at your friends and see who's celebrating your growth and who's celebrating you rather than being triggered by how you're showing up. And take a look at, how you are showing up, and are you that friend for someone? Are you holding space for other people? Right? Because being a safe place for others, it's a two-way road. We are a link in the chain. We have to lead and we have to follow, period. We can't just always be the leader. Jesus is our leader. God is our leader. The Holy Spirit, the Trinity is our leader. And if you're not there yet and you're like, "Ugh, I'm tired of talking about this stuff," that's your walk. My walk has led me here, and perhaps yours will as well. And if not, you still have learning to do. That's it. So I'm choosing today to focus on the people who love me, focus on the people that celebrate with me, focus on the people who grow with me and challenge me, call me out. I'm focusing on the good, and I'm no longer focusing on those haters, because the haters, they can watch. It's a good show out here. keep watching because it's only going to get better. And it's getting better not because of me. It's getting better because that is the will of God. And that is the divine design and calling on my life, is so that I can help other people rise to that occasion in their authenticity. So what's your gift? You know? And if you don't know where to start with your gifts and you are like, Lacy, I don't know. I just feel like I'm fearful. I have no idea where to start. I don't know what to do with my life. Take a deep breath and anchor in. That process of anchoring in to build your wellness foundations is everything. It's everything. You can only control your controllables. And what are your controllables? What you're eating, what you're drinking, how you are moving, what content you are putting into your mind, what you're saying, that sort of thing. And if you don't know where to get started, you can go to my website, www.lacyjwatson.com, and download my Release Foundations guide for the checklist of the foundations and the seasonal check-in of the circle of life. That can give you a visual representation of how to set your foundation. I have something really cool coming for the fall for those of you who are ready to build your foundation. So keep watching and download that guide and reach out to me if you need help. I'm offering free coffee chats with anybody who reaches out to me. I'm going to give you an hour of my time and I'm going to give you, my advice on what I think you can shift, whether it be a shift in your life, health, or business. And I want to help people rise and I want to help them shine and walk through that darkness. And for me, it's not about money. For me, it's just about helping people get to that next level. So rise up, anchor in, and shine on. And I will see you again next time. I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous Tuesday. Ciao.